You want to have your thumb lined up with your forearm, letting your stick rest inside of here. Your fingers go on top, so you're making a lowercase t with your thumb and index, so we don't want a capital T, we want it like this. Your ring finger is going to kind of support right here, curve around a little bit. You don't want it straight. Now, the reason why you don't want it straight is because if you actually do this, if you point, you can actually feel, and you can sort of see it right here, that you tighten up along here as soon as you point that finger. See, it's even tightening up down here. So we don't want that. So whenever you're using the middle finger, it kind of rests right there. It rests on the cuticle. For those of you who don't know, the cuticle is that like little part where like the fingernail and the finger like meet. And when you're first learning snare, it hurts like a lot. Like you're just banging this all day long if you're practicing a lot, and you'll get like bruise, blisters, maybe even bleed, etc. So give yourself breaks. Eventually you'll be able to drum all day, but not right away. And then the pinky finger is just kind of like hugging the ring finger right here. So it's just kind of hanging out right. All about the rotary motion for traditional. Whereas with match grip, depending on how you're playing, you might be using all wrist, might be using some molar wrist in the arm, or you might be using fingers. For traditional grip, at least with rudimental stuff in particular, it's like 100% going to be the rotation. Maybe if you're playing on drum kit with some lighter sticks, you might use some thumb action to kind of like do some of those strokes, but the majority of what you're going to be doing is this rotation. So one of the things that I would do is you take a doorknob, one that has some kind of resistance, so when you turn it, it'll spring back to location when you let go, the starting location. And what you do is you just rotate the doorknob to the extremes, to the left and the right, as much as you possibly can. This will allow you to build some strength and endurance. So I was, being a nerd, would walk around the school hallways like this, or in rehearsal, like in between sets when the instructor was talking. I would just sit there and work on my endurance and strength with the rotation. This is a shopping spree by Blue Devils, specifically the 1999 snare line. This play along can go from 40 to 200 beats a minute, and there are thousands more on the link on the screen. There's a tendency for a lot of people when they're playing with this, like the fulcrum right up here, to use a lot of finger. That prevents you from being able to get a wide range of dynamics. So it makes it so that you can't play as quietly as you could and controllably, and it makes it so you can't play as loud because you're relying on your fingers to make the full volume rather than being able to put like the weight of your hand and wrist into the stroke itself. Because I have a main background in rudimental, my focus is on a big full sound quality. So I am trying to get a nice, very loud sound out of the drum when I'm playing. So if I use more wrist and more arm, it allows me to do that. But if I'm squeezing the stick, then it kind of will prevent that from happening, and it's going to create all sorts of like wrist and hand issues if you are squeezing too hard, especially if you're using this kind of a fulcrum. Really need to focus on being intentional with the timing. So we slowed this all the way down to 40, and for like the last 15 minutes, I've been slowly speeding it up one click at a time with this play along. And now while I'm doing this, I am wristing every single one of these. I am not relying on finger technique when I am practicing this stuff. I want to make sure that I can very deliberately and intentionally stroke every single one of these, so that way I have nice and consistent taps and a nice and relaxed but heavy accent. Okay, so whenever you're working on this, make sure you are not just relying on just bounce and just throwing it in there. No. Stroke every one of those with your wrist being the primary initiator for that. While you do it, you should have like a floppy wrist. That means you're nice and relaxed, because if you are squeezing, then you can't bend your wrist. Try it. Like, shake your hand like this, and then squeeze your finger and try doing the same thing, and you just look funny. You can't do that. Was marching band a big part of my life? So I did this drum corps for 5 years. In the 5th year, I was driving home from rehearsal, ran into a truck. The truck ran a red light, so he just went straight through it, and I just ran straight into him. I flipped him upside down. My car caught on fire. While I was in it, I hit my knee on the dashboard. Even though I had a seatbelt on and whatnot, I didn't have time to brake, because all of a sudden, hey, there's a truck right in front of me who's running a red light. Shouldn't have done that. And then after that, I couldn't march my last 2 years. So I would have had 7 years in drum corps. I realized like my ability as a performer could go away at any moment. And so I shifted over from a focus on performing to a focus on education, which is like why all 3 of my degrees are music education. When it was like my age out year, because I had to watch from the sidelines, like I just broke down in the parking lot crying afterwards, because it was just like, that should have been me out there on the field. But it wasn't. Life. It's difficult sometimes, but I mean, I became a much better educator after that. To go with the theme of this tattoo of when it starts to rain, learn how to play in the rain. Why did I just play it that fast when it didn't sound that great? Because for the last like 5, maybe 10% of your practicing when you're working on something, try and go faster than you can play comfortably. Spend the majority of your time playing slow or at a moderate pace, and then the last 5 to 10% play faster than you can comfortably. Why? You want to be able to train your hands and your brains to be able to play and think a little bit faster, and so this kind of like forces you to do that, whether you're using a Met or any of the thousands of free play-alongs that are on my website and my YouTube channel. You need to give students time to like actually work on stuff. So one of the things that I started to do to try and work through that was to make it so that if I gave a correction or said, hey, we need to work on this, or this thing needs to improve, I then give like a minute or two, or sometimes 5-10 minutes if needed, to like let students individually on their own work through that thing, and then we'd come back together as like a snare line or as a full ensemble or whatever to try and like, okay, let's see if it's improved as a group. So work on it as an individual. In other words, like try and find some ways to get some individualized practice time inside of rehearsal, so that way you can refine things as you're going, rather than just assuming that students can correct things just based off of like you making a single statement. I started at 40, and then we go a few minutes later, I'm at 41, 43. I'm going 1 BPM at a time. Why am I doing this? It's actually going to make it so that 1, rhythmically it sounds better. 2, it actually works on your speed if you are practicing this stuff slow as if you were actually playing through it fast with a fast technique. I will slow this down and refine every one of the motions in the stroke and just really try and get everything as controlled as possible. And then I slowly speed it up to whatever the speed is. That's the majority of the practice session that I do. Let's try 180. We're gonna crash and burn, folks. Don't worry, my wife's got the fire extinguisher on deck, ready to go. She's just standing right off camera, like, ready to use it. Don't worry, wife. Didn't have to use it that time. Let's use it here. Gonna go 185. Crash and burn. 180 went better than I thought it would, to be honest. Here we go. Here we go. There are a few hundred more grid variations and 1,400 hours of free drumming content on my website, jaredleary.com/drum.